Alright, so today we're talking about the Berkley Software Distribution. Welcome to ABCs of Unix, Episode 2. Today we're talking about BSD, better known as Berkley Software Distribution. No one calls it that, everyone just calls it BSD. However, that's what we're talking about today. Because B is for BSD. Roll the intro, future me. It's future me issue. Alright, now that I've imagined my super cool intro just rolled. So today we're talking about BSD. What's important about BSD? Well, when considering Unix-like, and just Unix-like systems, you have to take BSD into mind. Just because BSD is the Unix-like system. Okay, you can think of Linux like, oh, Linux has Unix in its name, so it's clearly the closest to Unix, but that's not really the case. Given BSD was originally a fork of Unix. This is important to remember. Keep this in mind. So, a couple guys from California, I know, hellhole of a state, no one likes it. However, a couple guys from California were tired of Bell Labs as Unix at the time and wanted to make some improvements. So, they did, and that's how they got the Berkley Software Distribution, because it was made in the University of Berkeley in California. Mind-blowing information, I know. However, why are we talking about this? Why is BSD important? Any guesses? Any hands? Come on, give me a show of hands. I can't see you. I'm gonna pretend someone's raising your hand. So, Berkley Software Distribution is important to understanding how Unix has developed over time. Because early bases of BSD was entirely to the command line using CLI, which is next. That's whatever the hell my production cycle is video. Don't get your hopes up. Might be 4 to 8 months, you know, given the current production cycle. However, the Berkley Software Distribution forks from Unix and shows exactly how Unix developed, going from its original CLI variant all the way up to having a desktop at one point. That's pretty cool. And in modern components, it's mostly known for FreeBSD, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit here. We're going to call it FBSD because I'm too lazy to fix my grammatical, my spelling errors on my whiteboard. So, BSD forked into FreeBSD. Now that's what you're going to find all the BSD guys using. There is OpenBSD, there's NetBSD, there's a type of BSD for everything and anything. And if you can't run Unix, like a Linux distribution on some hardware, so you have like a RISC-V CPU for some reason in the big 26, you can run NetBSD on it, which is a good thing. So, what's the highlights of BSD? And we're going to focus mostly on FreeBSD, where it uses package as its package manager. Spelled PKGE. PKG. Blah, can't speak English, you know? Can't even speak technical jargon anymore. I don't speak any language, it just makes sounds. Okay, so FreeBSD forked from BSD when BSD decided to shoot itself in the back of the head 14 times. Who could have guessed? Wonder why. However, FreeBSD is important, because as we talked in the previous episode, FreeBSD components are what makes up modern Mac OS. Meaning, hey, these guys all share a family. They're all one big happy family under Unix-like. Who would have guessed? A series called the Intro to Unix-like is talking about Unix-like systems. I'm shocked. I'm truly appalled. I know. So, when we're talking about FreeBSD, when considering FreeBSD, it's mostly just like a modern Linux distro. I'm going to be cut and dry. FreeBSD has, outside of its lineage, doesn't have that much that forks it and compares to a modern Linux distro. Shocking, breaking news, I know. Linux distros are a little bit more refined and more widely used, and there's some different net utilities I'm not going into because I don't know jack shit about networking, but the important thing about FreeBSD is that whole free part. So we're going to talk, that's what we're talking about. So BSD was created under the BSD license instead of like Linux, where it's created under the GNU license. Now, why is this important? Because GNU philosophy nerds are weird. Oh, so GNU philosophy, GNU strong. Just throwing the idea out there. Don't shoot the messenger. Except the messenger is the one who spreads this idea. But whatever, you know. The BSD license is kind of very similar, but not always super duper similar. That led to significantly less distributions where they'll kind of conglomerated into one big family. all under more or less FreeBSD. Now there's OpenBSD. I've met one person my entire time on this internet in the Unix-like community that's used OpenBSD. One. So therefore it doesn't exist. So, when concerning FreeBSD, we have to keep that first part in mind. The free part. It's not open source, it's free. Technically it's open source, but we're going to need that. Alright, this is the important part. So, when we think of FOSS and we think of Unix-like, we think of things that are FOSS. But not all Unix-like systems are FOSS. Think of Apple's Mac. That's a Unix-like system, but it's not FOSS. It's very, very proprietary. That is the same thing that goes in... I didn't spell free with enough E's. God damn it. Yeah, fuck it. It's not getting fixed. So, free does not equal FOSS. This is important. I need you to keep this in mind when we go on. FreeBSD is not FOSS. So when we think of FOSS, we think of something under an open source license, like the GNU Open license. I mean, you already know my opinion on guys who plays that. However, it does serve a good purpose. It is open source. To use it, it's open source. It's free. If you make something on it, that also has to be open source and free. That is not how FreeBSD is licensed. Think of a PlayStation 5, if you would. Or a PlayStation 3 even. I want you to think of that. Get a PS3 in your mind. What is that operating system based on? I'll give you 15 seconds. I actually can't keep track of time. I'm going to call it quits right now. So, that PS3 operating system is based on FreeBSD. I tapped the wrong place on my whiteboard, Jesus. I can't really see in my bedroom with these glasses on. I just put them there because like my hat blocks out my eyes. And because I have bright blue eyes, I freak people out when I stare into the camera. Cool fact of the day. So, FreeBSD is not FOSS, meaning the stuff you build on it doesn't have to be FOSS, like Mac OS may change. And that's why we're not getting into families today, because we're going to be here all day if I start talking about families and lineages of operating systems. And I know that's what y'all want to hear, but you're not getting out of me. My video, my series, my rules. Fuck you. Basis for a lot of things. As we know, PlayStation consoles from the PS3 onwards. So your PS4, your PS5, based on FreeBSD. Shit. Makes up a base for a PlayStation console. It also makes up a base for Apple. Apple, Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, iPod OS. I think that's different. I don't know. I don't even know if they make iPods anymore. I remember that's what my sister had when I was little. She had an iPod Touch. Chicken. But that's all based on FreeBSD in the FreeBSD kernel, and not Linux, because Linux has to be open source, and to be open source means you give users control. And I'm a multi-billion-dollar company focused on being user-friendly, not giving users control. Because when you are a company and you do things like that, you have to assume that your users are idiots, the dumbest possible person out there. And that's how modern software is built. People ain't ready for these hard-cadent live times. They can't handle the streets I grew up in. Kids these days. That's also why you'll find a lot more stuff. This also leads us into a side tangent about how modern software is like minimalistic and really simple. However, anybody can grasp the design and purpose of like all the little drop downs, and like old software was user focused. You could use it and it felt nice to use and it made sense and it looked nice. Whereas modern software is minimalist to be user friendly, which does not mean it's user focused. That's important. Keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that later. That's a future video. I think it's letter G or something for DUI. But yeah, so what else does BSD have to offer outside being great base if I want to make a proprietary operator? Is that my dog? Hold on. Dog break. Why are you damp? It's not even raining outside. She likes being picked up. She thinks she's a lap dog. Breaking news, she's not a lap dog. She weighs like 60 pounds. However, she gets really mad if I don't pick her up. More you know. So what other utilities does FreeBSD provide outside of just being able to make a proprietary operating system on top of it. Networking. So think of 4chan. You remember when 4chan got leaked? That's because it was running an out-of-date version of FreeBSD. That's pretty cool. There's a bunch of cool networking tools. We could get into it. I don't know jack shit about networking, thus we're not doing that. But that's mostly what BSD is used for. It makes up, I think, a total right now 2% of the total worldwide operating system market, which is actually really impressive. How much does Linux make up? We don't know. We don't know. Linux users don't like submitting their hardware for surveys. Plus, because Linux is so fragmented, it'd be hard to keep down. Like, this guy uses Hannah Montana Linux. Should we bundle him in with people who use Debian? Like, it's really hard to tell. But the two communities are very different. Very similar and very different. I find personal experience dictates that FreeBSD guys are even more schizophrenic just by nature. Like, some of these guys probably should be locked up in a panic room. The people who run the FreeBSD Discord who see this, and they gonna ban my dumb ass. I don't really care. I think you all are still cool. I think FreeBSD is kind of cool. I just don't understand it. I would normally just at this point in the video where I'd be like, yeah, you can watch this guy for FreeBSD advice. I don't know anybody who does this stuff. I really don't. The only guy I knew who did the only guy I knew who did this stuff is in Iran, and he doesn't really have internet right now. And we're not getting into politics today. We're not gonna touch that. That's for a later video. Yes, I know, later video, teaser time. P is for politics, because if we don't talk about that, people are gonna get grumpy, because it's a very crucial part of this community, so save for the end. But, yeah. B is for BSD. I had the big long video planned, and then I'm like, I can't make sense of this. This doesn't make sense to me. You know, I spent like well over a week writing that script. I'm like, this shit does not make sense. This is illogical. I don't understand it. Yeah. That's all I really have to say. Free doesn't mean FOSS. Freeware and FOSS is different. I guess thank you all for watching and holding out this long for me to make this video on BSD. My watch is charging. I don't even know how long has this recording session been. Here, laptop, turn on. What? 15 minutes recording session? Like 8 minutes, I guess. I don't know. Pretty sure we have this up. Well, join the Discord for video announcements and I guess maybe behind the scenes at some point. Like, subscribe, get notified. Also, make sure to join the X. That's one big thing. It has XFCE. That means it passes the official John Linux test of, yes, it has XFCE. Glory to the XFCE Confederation, which you can also join in with a link in the description. I'm going to be honest, I'm real sorry, but next video is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one because we're talking about CLI. CLI, command line interface. So, yeah. I'll catch y'all for the next episode. Stay tuned. It's only going to get worse from here.